The Washington Wizards have obviously been the most active team thus far this offseason, trading Bradley Beal and now trading Kristaps Porzingis. The Wizards, Celtics, and Grizzlies agreed on a 3-team deal that will see Boston get Kristaps Porzingis and Memphis's number 23 pick in this year's draft and a first-round pick in next year's draft. Washington will get Tyus Jones. And how about the Memphis Grizzlies will be getting Marcus Smart? First and foremost, let me just say this. I'm still going to have to sit down and think about this Kristaps Porzingis trade to Boston. Now, keep in mind, there was a previous deal that was agreed on, according to Woj at ESPN, that fell apart in the wee hours between the Celtics, the Wizards, and the Clippers that would have seen Malcolm Brogdon get moved over to Washington. Apparently, Malcolm Brogdon is injured, and whatever health ailment he's dealing with, it's too serious enough to include him in a trade. He can't pass a physical. So Boston goes for one of their bigger fish, a guy that thought he was going to spend his entire career as a Boston Celtic. They trade Marcus Smart, and boy, oh boy, Celtic Nation is not happy about losing one of their hardest playing players that franchise has ever had. They're not happy about that one. So the jury is still out on what I really believe about Kristaps Porzingis, pairing him up with Jaylen Brown, which I think they're going to pay this summer, and then Jason Tatum, which I think they're going to pay him next summer. I got to see that on the court. I'm going to be honest with you guys. In theory, Porzingis will be a guy that can easily average 21 and 12 with Tatum and Brown. But those dudes like to chunk up a lot of shots, all right? And I actually thought Robert Williams fit with them really well because Robert ain't commanding the ball. He ain't dominating, in the post. They could just give him the ball whenever they didn't want to score anymore. And then when they didn't want to go to Robert Williams' direction, Al Horford was a guy they could give the ball to when they didn't want to score anymore. So I actually thought those two bigs fit off of Tatum and Brown pretty darn well. If anything, I thought Tatum and Brown needed to figure some things out from a chemistry perspective over going in the direction of trying to get another forward/center that would want the ball. I could have seen Boston going in a more athletic approach, maybe going to John Collins, a guy that can score a little more than Robert Williams. I thought that made a little more sense. Porzingis is a high-risk, high-reward type of guy. A lot of injury concerns on Porzingis' body. The jury's going to be out on that one, especially trading Marcus Smart. Now, had the original trade gone through and the Clippers were incorporated in this deal and Brogdon would have been the piece that you move over Marcus, who cares? I mean, Malcolm Brogdon, he wasn't an X factor for Boston. You would have still been able to keep Marcus, which is a pivotal piece to what Boston has built over the years. Losing Marcus, he's a big deal. Losing Marcus Smart. Now he goes to Memphis, which I think this has the makings of being a home run get for my hometown in the Grizzlies. You're talking about Marcus Smart. If him and Ja Morant click, which I don't know if they know each other, they might not have ever even communicated with each other outside on the court as opponents. If they do connect, assuming Marcus doesn't allow that Memphis lifestyle to get to him, I think this could be a really big move for Memphis, who just doesn't want to give up on Ja. And can you blame him? This kid is immensely talented. It has taken that franchise from an on-the-border contender to definitely the Memphis Grizzlies are a contender every single year that they got Ja Morant. The problem is they got to make sure they got Ja Morant right on the court and not doing dumb stuff on Instagram Live. But if this does work, you're talking about one of the most defensive-minded, tenacious teams the NBA has seen in quite some time. Man, think about this. This team is every bit of that 2010, 2011 Memphis Grizzlies team that was led by Zebo and Marc Gasol and Mike Conley and Tony Allen. But remember, that team couldn't get to 100 points often. They wanted to beat you in the 80s, low 90s. This Grizzlies squad can get to 105 and still lock you down. Just an incredible defensive team. Look, one of the things that really slowed Memphis down in fourth quarters was their offense. They cannot score when they're not able out to get in. They're not able to front run. Let's call it spade. The Grizzlies were the best front running team in the NBA. And when you get them to the fourth quarter, if you can make it to the fourth quarter against Memphis, you can beat them. Marcus is a guy that's unafraid to take fourth quarter shots. That's never been something he's been afraid of in his career. And, you know, obviously he probably wanted more looks around Tatum and Brown. Ja's a guy that's willing to come off that ball to give a guy like Marcus the ball in the clutch. And Marcus can knock it down. He's unafraid. Keep in mind, Marcus was the real deal Holyfield coming out of Oklahoma State. You look at a guy like Desmond Bane, which if it's me, I'm running Ja, Marcus, and Bane. I know they'll be a little undersized at the three. I'm running it. I don't give a damn. I'm doing it. I like those dudes. I'm running that offense just like that. And we'll see what happens. You know, obviously with Jaren Jackson, and I don't think Memphis is going to keep Steven Adams. I think that's a dud. I don't think that's going to work out. I think Steven Adams is a goner from Memphis. They'll go in a different direction with the big. For Washington, I don't need to spend 1,000 minutes on this. Tyrus Jones is a good player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Tyrus Jones made sense for Memphis. I don't love that the Grizzlies are giving up Tyrus. If you want me to be honest with you, Marcus can't be the point guard replacement that Tyrus can be while Ja is down, even though Marcus is better than Tyrus. As long as they got Ja Morant on the court, Ja and Marcus, though, make more sense than Ja and Tyrus do. I hope that made sense. Again, Tyrus Jones to be your point guard to run the show for the 2025 games that Ja Morant's going to miss, that would be the ideal thing. I think Memphis could have easily went 16-9, 17-8 in the 25 games that Ja suspended next year. But assuming Ja gets back with his head on straight, which you hope Marcus can help him get his head on straight, then you're looking at a team with Ja and Marcus in the backcourt that I believe can easily make the NBA Finals. I do. So you got to take the good with the bad if you're the Grizzlies. They're thinking long term. They're thinking keep Ja mentally long term with a guy like Marcus around him, a little young OG from an NBA perspective. And then also once you get Ja back, Ja and Marcus, they can work some things and be. I mean, Ja's going to really. I believe Ja's going to become a good defender. He's just too athletic. I just think he's going to make too many plays on the ball. You know, if that is the case, Ja and Marcus in that backcourt is going to be great. Tyrus Jones, a really bad L for Memphis in the short term. Marcus Smart could be a really big win in the long term as the Celtics get Porzingis, the Grizzlies get Smart-ter. You see what I did there? And then obviously the Wizards get Tyrus Jones. They're the worst franchise in the NBA right now. I'm out. Welcome to NBA offseason 2023. You're in great hands with Hoops FERRO. There's no network behind me. There's no budget behind me. Just straight grind and hoops talk. If you don't want to miss a beat this offseason from trades, free agent signings, and draft talk, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Let's run these numbers up. It's free $99 to show me that you support the grind. Let's go.